Thank the member for Mitchell. The question is the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Chifley.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Speaker. Now, when the member for Reid, he gets breathless behind the vision of the way that they're funding WestConnex. I mean, he just gets excited and he's got cheap thrills. I mean, I don't want to ask him to fill out a shopping list unless I give him a heart attack. I can't get over that the vision behind this $1.5 billion cash splash that underwrites WestConnex tells me that you're into cheap thrills that someone else is paying for, because all those opposite have their noses pressed against the thought bubble that basically will see the coalition infrastructure wish list put out in parade, and it's really nothing more than this sort of amateurish smudge of credibility on coalition talking points. And it's not good enough. In opposition, the coalition wanted a cost-benefit analysis on a fridge opening. And now they ride on the back of confetti, put up a cheer, pat themselves on the back, and they think that's good enough. It ain't. We set up Infrastructure Australia with a specific purpose to depoliticise these issues. We wanted to ensure that the politics is taken out, put the independent experts in. Infrastructure projects from across the country, from state governments, they put them in. We then backed it up with the funding after the experts went through it. Nearly $47 billion on roads nationally, $13.6 billion on rail, and we saw results. And I challenge the member for Mitchell when he says that in Sydney we saw no funding, $5.5 billion on road and rail transport servicing Sydney over 6 years, including nearly $2 billion for the northern and southern Sydney freight line upgrades, $405 million for the F3 to M2 missing link, $93 million to widen the F5 at Campbelltown that you and I no doubt drive down to get here. We've got also the $300 million to upgrade the Great Western Highway, $300 million for Port Botany rail improvements and associated upgrades. Depoliticised, independent, evidence-based, fully funded, quantified results. That is methodical. That is methodical. It's the kind of infrastructure planning process that those opposite dream about, and the contrast is embarrassing because we have here in the member for Reid, the chief cheerleader proposing this motion, we have a terrible proposition that's being put forward in terms of the financing of WestConnex. Now, as a Western Sydney MP, I'd never want to take a backward step in representing people in my area. Yes, people in our area spend way too much time in traffic. Yes, they do want to see better funding for public transport infrastructure, but they should get that properly funded, well-designed roads that they shouldn't have to pay for twice. They are paying for this M4 upgrade twice with the retolling of the M4. We set aside in government $1.8 billion in the 2013-14 budget for WestConnex. 3 simple conditions. First, that the proposal has to provide direct links to get people to the city and freight to the port. Second, no new tolls on old roads. And third, finalisation of a detailed business case for assessment by Infrastructure Australia. And what did Mr Abbott do? Well, he blasted out $1.5 billion at the end of an election promise megaphone and smack into the coffers of the New South Wales government, but then flicked the bill to Western Sydney motorists. And the cheer squad here for retolling the M4 is the member for Reid, the member for Banks, the member for Mitchell, the member for Lindsay. All should tell their constituents they support retolling the M4, paying for old roads out of their pockets. Every single one of you should be doing it. The average toll, member for Reid, on the initial Parramatta to Homebush M4 widening is about $3 in current dollars, but it will be higher when the stage opens in 2017 at the earliest. And there are serious shortcomings, Mr Deputy Speaker. Jake Sorwick, Sydney Morning Herald, talks about, for the example, the fact that those opposite have set up the WestConnex Delivery Authority, and asks, what are these people doing? In his article, November 2, he points out none of them seem to be raising what is the large elephant in the room, that WestConnex is the biggest urban infrastructure project in the country, $3.3 billion of taxpayers' money already committed, and hardly anything is known about it. Taxpayers don't know how many cars expected to use the motorway. They don't know the estimated impact on local roads. They are yet to be told the precise route, in the dark on construction methods. Now, when they did get round to advising people, they told people on the day of the announcement that their homes would be resumed. Even the need for the WestConnex is not known. It's certainly true Sydney roads are inadequate, but it doesn't mean the precise model of WestConnex is the solution. And We had one of their chief, I mean, when you look at it, this has a lot of questions that need to be answered, but the worst thing is they are re-tolling the M4.